If you've ever felt dismissed by doctors, overwhelmed by chronic pain, or like no one truly understands the battle you're facing with your body, this episode is for you. Today, I'm joined by Ramona, a wonderfully honest and inspiring woman who shares her raw and powerful story of navigating a debilitating nickel allergy, unrelenting joint and muscle pain, and the emotional toll of feeling like a stranger in her own body. In our conversation, Ramona opens up about the frustration of living in a new country where the food was unfamiliar and triggering her symptoms, how her journey led her from skepticism to trust, and why personalized nutrition tailored to her body and lifestyle and environment was the game changer that she'd been searching for. We talk about the emotional impact of weight struggles, the hidden cost of self-neglect, and the life-changing power of asking questions, taking action, and choosing self-love even when it feels selfish. This episode is a powerful reminder that sustainable healing isn't just about food or supplements. It's about being seen, heard, and supported. And I can't wait for you to hear Ramona's story. So let's dive in. Hey, welcome back. And I've got with me here Ramona. And Ramona, I am very much looking forward to hearing all about why you joined us in the Nourish Method in the first place. So perhaps you could kick things off by talking us through the challenges that you were having before you joined us, which would have been a little over 6 months ago now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, I've been looking for a long time now for a practitioner or nutritionist that could actually understand my needs and requirement because I do suffer from nickel allergy in the food, which is really spread all over. And this has triggered all my life since like about 20 years now. I was still in Italy when I was diagnosed with this, but moving to the UK, the things have become a little bit worse because of the food differences between my country and this country. So the pain became like really unbearable as for the inflammation, muscle pain, and joint pain.
Mm.
So I started to look around, obviously, first for the doctors, so GPs and specialist doctors for bones, arthritis, and all this stuff, but nothing was working on me. And then I finally realized that I should have gone deep and deeper into the food nutrition. So I've started just Googling around and I found this website from Louise. And then it was just like, I was skeptical at the beginning because these things online, there are a lot of frauds. So you don't really trust the people at first. But then I had a first meeting with Lisa online. And then she was able to reassure me and give me all the good points. And then I started, despite all my doubts and challenges I was driven by, and the pain I was going through, it was so much that I just said, okay, let's give it a go. Whatever it costs, it costs, but I have to just find something that it will help me, hopefully at some point. And it did. So
Yeah, amazing. So it's really interesting that you joined us with kind of the struggles that you were having, this nickel allergy and the pain that it was causing you, because obviously everything that we talk about is focused on weight loss and losing weight in a healthy way. So what made you come to us as opposed to anyone else out there?
I was hoping to find a good English nutritionist because I do have one of my best friends. She's Italian and she's living in the UK. And she recommended me so many supplements and so many things, but they are still connected to the Italian lifestyle.
Mm.
So it was everything good, but it was not as deep as your recommendation, which I worked out with Lara. And I have to say, I have never found in nearly 7 years of my life in the UK an English person that understood my food allergy as good as Lara did.
Mm.
So that was my main goal. I wanted to find someone that, with the English lifestyle and English food and English food shopping, could drive me through the shopping list, because this is my main problem. I mean, if I'm in Italy, I know exactly what to do, I know exactly what to avoid. But the problem is, I'm living in this country and I need to adapt myself in this environment.
Yeah.
So I was just looking for someone that, obviously, your website also offered a lot of tests,
Mm.
which I didn't have the chance to get them before. And the NHS is just not listening to these things. So as I said, I give it a go. I give it a try, just to say, let's try it. And if it works, I would be so pleased. So,
Yeah. So we obviously did those tests, and you also opted for a higher level of support in our VIP program where we do even more in-depth tests. So
yes,
what was that experience like of having that level of testing? Because it's a lot of information, isn't it? And
something it was really like shocking me. I wasn't expecting so deep inside, and it was really reassuring. So it gave me the option to know myself a little bit in a deeper way. I still need to do one test, which is actually the most important one at the moment, the Dutch test. It looks like my body is giving a little bit up and down now, so I need to do the test when I am running properly. So I need to wait.
mm. So how did having that information and learning more about yourself impact your journey, and how you now choose your food or your habits?
Well, the test results, they give me really high confidence, and they give me really good vibes.
Mm.
And, I reached a point while I was not finding anyone where I was really like overwhelmed, confused, and stressed, nervous. I would say also unbearable and short of temper, because I was in the pain. Nobody was understanding. And I couldn't express myself more than say, I am in the pain. And I didn't get anything out of any questions. So knowing what it was actually wrong with I wouldn't say wrong, I would say not so precise with my body. So I just learned how to deal with it, because my allergy, it won't go anyway.
Yeah.
I just need to treat it and to find the things that I need to avoid mainly, and to live with it. It is way, way better now. My pain has nearly disappeared. Of course, sometimes I'm a little bit naughty girl with the food, because you can't really avoid everything, because otherwise your brain goes boom.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to treat myself and sometimes to restrict myself. So I do halfway. But yes, the test, they give me really like the hope that something can be done. And I did really actually see something, that my body reacted in a good way to
Mm.
the things I've done it. So
Yeah. Amazing. So, you've obviously, it sounds like you're finding this balance between restriction, but also living your life and enjoying the foods that you want to have. How have you kind of got to that point? And where did you start when it comes to your relationship with food? How were things beforehand?
oh, really a big conflict. My weight reached a point of, I always call it like 4 kilos to 100, because I had to make it so dramatic to myself that I needed to give like a kind of shock to my brain and to start like looking at myself at the mirror and say, okay, this is not you. I have never been so bloated ever again in my life. And this feeling that you don't go for the shopping at the mall because you don't like any kind of clothes, and you don't look at your face in the mirror because you can't stand the image you're seeing, is just something that it needed to be sorted. So I was a little bit struggling with the money, I have to say, because the option that the installment plan is not one of your option anymore is a little bit difficult, but I did really push myself to make it because the feeling I was having toward myself, it was really bad,
Mm.
not driven by any um, kind of happiness, satisfaction. It was affecting my life with my husband, my friends, my family. Do you know, everybody comes to the house, they want to take you, I don't know, anywhere, or you don't go because you are like having a trauma. You don't want to eat, but you really fancy that food. So it's a big conflict. Or you don't go out for dinner because you can't control yourself. And this is something that I don't really allow myself to. I am a very fast person. And when I lose the control, it's just something that is not really feasible for me. I have to have control. So yeah, it was coming to the point as a psychologist was needed because I was getting depressed. So no, I reached really kind of the bottom line that I said, okay, now I need to just sit on the computer and find something. Either I go back to Italy and I find somewhere there begging them to adjust the things for the UK, but you can't do this in another country because they don't know here and here they don't know us. So
Mm.
it's difficult. I need to just live with this and here. So yeah, I did push myself to the bottom line and then I said, okay, now it's time. So
Mm.
you were one of the option. I found another couple of things, but I do normally um, listen to my feelings. If I got these sparkles in the stomach or something like butterflies, I don't know how to say, but if it is something love at first sight, I go. It's like a sixth sense. So I
Mm.
normally listen to this. So I did choose you just by feelings, to be fair. And reading the reviews, of course. I did trust the reviews, of course. You have a lovely reviews. So I said, okay, let's try. Maybe she's the one.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go with those gut feelings. But it sounds like you were having a real internal battle before you joined, and it was impacting many different areas of your life. And I think that's something that isn't talked about enough, that, it's not just about, how our clothes feel or what we see in the mirror. Actually, it goes a lot deeper than that and can really permeate everything that we do, and just always be there at the backs of our minds.
Yeah.
And it can take a lot of courage to take that step, to say, actually, I'm not going to settle for that. I'm not going to accept that I've just got to live with this, and I do have the power to do something about it. It's just making that connection between getting yourself to that point and then finding the right support to get you there, isn't it?
Yes, it is exactly. Well, when you feel a battle inside yourself, I think that you should love yourself. So that was the things that I was convinced. I do still love myself, and being a woman like over 40, it doesn't mean that my life has changed or has stopped, because I'm still alive and I still need to enjoy my life and I still need to love me when I look at myself.
Mm.
So yeah, the self-love, I think it has helped a lot. So that was triggering point for me to just stop doing everything and just search for help. I did search for help, but that was the main thing,
Mm,
because I started also a program with a psychologist. And
mhm,
then when they give you that little words like you need a help, that was the word that it did actually wake me up. So
mm.
I needed someone to help me and to understand me. So
Yeah. Yeah. Being understood, I think, is really powerful as well. It's very empowering to be heard and understood, because it gives you that trust in the support and the guidance that
and the
you're
hope as
getting.
well. Hope
Yeah.
you can do it, because this is what I needed. Because obviously, I always been fluffy as a body shape, and never been skinny in my life, even since when I was little. Always been fluffy. But this, it doesn't mean that I have to accept myself as obese. It doesn't exist, that one. I mean, yes, of course, my body changes. I'm happy with that, but it doesn't mean that I have to look at myself, not like myself, and I have to accept it.
Mm.
As long as I can do something. If there is nothing that I can do, at least I am happy with myself. I tried. But if I don't try, I am not satisfied. So I
Yeah.
did try. I will
Yeah.
never be skinny anyway. I don't want to be skinny. It's not my type. Never been there. But, you know, is to reach nearly 100 kilos, it was really like upsetting me. And it
Mm.
was really like body shape, really like completely different as I was.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So you obviously had those internal battles and of course the physical symptoms as well. So what has the transformation been like for you? Where are you now compared to then?
Well, at the moment, I still think that I need some of your help, which I'm going to apply for. I think my body still needs a little bit more supplements, because maybe the dosage I had, because let's call it like the imperfections, they were aged since a long time. I don't think that only 6 months are enough to get me back on track as a perfect one.
Hmm.
To be fair, my muscle pain and my joint pain have disappeared.
Amazing.
Obviously, when I go crazy with the nickel food, which is to be avoided the most, then I do have some sign of um, feeling a little bit inflamed inside, like a burning feeling. This is what I normally feel like, very stinging pain around the joints and the muscle, always overtired.
Mm.
This is this happens when I actually eat too much, I don't know, tomatoes, spinach, mushrooms, or the very rich food with the nickel. So in that sense, if I mix them up too much, then of course my body is telling me alarm, alarm, you need to just behave. But for the extreme fatigue and tiredness and sleeping bad, they have gone. They have gone, and I suppose thanks to these supplements, because I was lacking in the vitamin B, all of them.
Mm.
So the job Lara has done with me, it was absolutely amazing. She has explained from A to Z in simple words what was happening inside my body. So she gave me, and she's done a great research as well, because knowing that I have nickel allergy, she advised for all supplements without the nickel,
Mm.
which they are very few, but she found them. So I was really very pleased. I'm still very pleased with her. If anybody is asking me like about a nutritionist, I will definitely refer to you guys and just mention the name of Lara. Of course, nothing wrong with the other girls and people of the group, but I did have my best experience with her, and she did understand exactly what I was suffering from, and
Mm.
she just recommended whatever I've done. It did work, so it was
Mm.
really like pleasant for me to know that an English woman, not knowing anything about Italian food, she has just give me the right recipe for my food to be cooked in a good way and to avoid on the other side for the nickel allergy. So it was really like a goal.
Yeah, and I think what you've really encapsulated beautifully there is the importance of personalized nutrition. And a lot of people ask us, well, if it's a program, how
Mhm.
is it personalized? But of
Hmm.
course, it's a hybrid of the, I don't like using the word general, but for the purpose of this, more general guidance, as well as the one-to-one support, testing, and recommendations. Because, whilst everyone that comes to us has very similar problems in terms of they're struggling with their weight, they're fatigued, often bloated, and various symptoms. Actually, the underlying root cause of those problems is very different for every
Yeah.
single person that comes to work with us. So, your standard meal plan or diet, it just doesn't cut it. It was never going to get you the results that you wanted. And, for most women, it isn't going to get them to where they want to be. So that personalization and deeper level of support really does make the world of difference. So with that in mind, what is there something that you would say to someone who is considering either working with us or just taking that step to look for that higher level of support?
I think that the best decision you can do for yourself to start loving yourself again is to get tested. This is really the open vision of what you have. If you still haven't understood what you having because you cannot express yourself because people from the GPs they don't listen to this because it's not like I call it a diagnosis, but for them it's not. It's something, it's like when you compare the general medicine with the alternatives. So people like the physiotherapist or the chiropractor, they should work together to make like a bingo, but they don't. So this is like nutritionist against the GP dietitian.
Mm,
So if you don't test yourself in a way as you offer so deep, then you don't know yourself at that stage and you can't understand how much help you need or you don't.
mm,
Sometimes people maybe they make a big drama of everything and they just need a little help. Instead, I was making a drama, let's say, quite big because I was really in the pain, but the GP was not really listening. They sent me to the physiotherapist. I said, I don't need a physiotherapist. They sent me to the dietitian. I said, I don't need a dietitian. I need someone who's competent in the allergies. I want to have a blood test, full count for allergies. Because this service actually in Italy it is provided by the NHS.
mm.
So I know I was talking right, but here it works different. And I was hoping that I would have been listened and heard by someone in the NHS, but they stop at the very, very first stage.
Yeah.
So even in my country, you stop a little bit higher than here, to be fair, not to get offended to anyone, but it's the system is different. In Italy, we pay the NHS. So you get a little bit more because every time you go to the GP, you got to pay. So obviously being everything free, I understand also their position, but it doesn't mean that you don't listen to me. So I needed to have a little bit of reassurance. So that's why I went private. If I go today to the GP, I would really tell them, like, listen, I asked, you didn't give it to me, and I got it from someone else. But the result, end of the day, is good. So the test is actually the best you can do for your health to know
Mm.
what you actually have. So
Yeah, it puts you in a position of of power, doesn't it, to make
Yes.
informed decisions. And, you know, I can't tell you how often people come to us and they are either following some strange diet or they are taking a whole long list of supplements that just are not appropriate for their
No,
needs.
you
And
can't take supplements without a consultation of a nutritionist or a doctor. It's absolutely wrong to just Google the things. First, because Google gives you all the disease possible, and then you don't have a test. You don't know exactly what you're having. So you can't, yes, you can be doctor of yourself when you need to express your symptoms, but not the diagnosis. So the diagnosis, we need to leave the job to who is registered to do the doctors or nutritionists.
mm, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And yeah, I wish it was a bit more difficult to get hold of supplements because so many people waste their money and, you know, also do more harm than good. It's we forget that whilst these things are natural or very close to being natural, actually they can be incredibly powerful, and that can cause harm either because it's just the wrong thing for us or because we're taking too much of it or in the wrong
Yeah.
form or alongside medications that they interfere with. So yeah, caution is very, very much advised when it comes to,
Be informed is
yeah.
another advice that you need to just spread. You need information, but if your expertise is to be a nutritionist, then you can spread your information. But if I am the patient, I just need to listen to people and just be confident that they're giving me the good advice. Of course, sometimes you find the right person, sometimes not, but it's even if you go to the GP, you can have a good doctor or you can have a bad one. So
Mm,
this is
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and how things have gone for you as you've worked through the program. Are there any final thoughts that you have or any message that you would like to share with our listeners?
Oh, well, no, it's just like be curious. Be curious to ask a question. I think that Lara has never had a patient like me asking so many questions. I really bombarded her. And it's just, she's been so patient. And you just need to look for, as I said before, information, get tested, and just be confident that if you follow the right advice, then you get yourself sorted and just love yourself. Just be a little bit selfish sometimes. Also, I have been a little bit selfish. I have to say, I have give myself priority because if I'm not well, everything is damaged. And every relationship can be damaged because you're not yourself, because you are like always a short of temper. I never had such a bad period of my life being so like sharp and so aggressive. And this was because I'd never had a smile on my lips. So the fact that I can look at myself as still fluffy today, but with the less pain, it did help me a lot. So never mind about the money. I will make a debt to pay the things for my health. Is I need to go back on track. So yes, be curious, be questioning every single thing and test. Get yourself tested. That's the trick.
Really great messages. And, you know, I think the whole thing around self-love is so key. You know, self-love isn't selfish. You know, it can feel selfish, but actually it's something that has an impact on everyone that you come into contact with, particularly your immediate family and friends. And, you know, it can filter through into better relationships in every way. So just remember that, you know, when you're thinking that actually investing this money or this time or energy into yourself is taking something away, you know, time that you could be spending or money that you could be spending on your family members, actually it's the opposite. It's giving so much to those people, and I think women particularly need a reminder of that quite regularly.
Yes, we do such a hard work. And we need to look after ourselves to be strong enough to keep everything as tidy as we normally want. So everything under control. We got big shoulders, but we need to look after that because otherwise the weight is going to just kill you. And that's not. And when your psychological, mental issues are really driving you blind, no. We need just to wake up and again just look after ourselves. We need to. It's important for the sake of the family, the relationship, for friends, or just for yourself. I mean, when you feel like in Italy, we say, definitely, I don't think it will be in English, but in Italy, we say that you feel like a fish outside the water.
Mm-hmm.
What does the fish do? It's dead. So I was feeling really like a dead person, not smiling, not enjoying anything. And then suddenly, when I found someone giving me the right advices and giving me the right supplements and feeling you can go up and down the stairs with no pain on your knees, that was really like, okay, now I'm gonna smile. So that,
Yeah, those are the little improvements that actually have a massive impact on your day-to-day
yes.
enjoyment of life. And I just want to go back as well to what you were saying about being curious.
Mhm.
It's absolutely fine to ask as many questions as you can, and being curious is important. I
Yeah,
think it's really important to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and how that needs to happen in the long term, and all those questions. But the most important thing alongside that is to take action. And I say
yeah.
that because we do sometimes work with people who ask all the questions but are not so hot on taking the action.
Mm.
So ask the questions, but also take the action as well.
Well, people need to ask the question and take the action, but they have to be um, convinced of what they're doing.
Mm,
If you still having kind of doubts and you are not pushed to the bottom of your line, you can ask as many questions as you like, but you don't seem to be thirsty of learning, you know? When I ask questions, it's because I want to learn why this
mm,
is happening. So if I learn why, I'm learning how to sort the problem. And that's knowledge that you take in.
mm,
And that makes yourself a little a little step higher. So you can improve yourself. I always been a curious person in every kind of section, field, or whatever. I like to learn. Mostly if I'm learning about my body was not responding at all to any of my commands. So I was losing control. That's why I took action because I am the leader, not my body.
mm.
So
Yeah.
that was the trick.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I think that's a really nice way to wrap up the episode, and remind everyone to stay curious. Ramona, thank you so much again for joining me. It's been an absolute delight having you on the podcast and hearing all about your story. And it sounds like we're going to be continuing to work together for the time
Yes,
being.
for a
So,
little while, I will keep joining you.
yeah.
Thank you very much to you for having me today and to all your team. They've been really special friends to me. Thank you very much.
I hope Ramona's story has reminded you just how powerful it can be to truly understand your body and finally feel heard. Her journey is such a beautiful example of what happens when we stop settling, we start asking questions, and get the personalised support we actually need. If you're listening to this and thinking, that's me, whether it's the unexplained fatigue, the inflammation, the stubborn weight that just won't shift, or simply the feeling of being stuck, I want to invite you to join me for my upcoming metabolism masterclass. In this free live session, I'll be walking you through exactly why your metabolism may have slowed down, the real reasons typical weight loss advice hasn't worked for you, and what you can start doing now to support your hormones, your energy, and fat loss without restriction or deprivation. You'll leave with clarity, confidence, and a new understanding of how to work with your body instead of against it. And I'll also be sharing in more detail what it looks like to work with my team and I in the Nourish method. So head to the link in the show notes to reserve your spot, or if it's easier, head to my Instagram at Louise Digby Nutrition and comment Meno, M-E-N-O, on any post, and then you'll receive a DM with the link so that you can save your space. Make sure you check the message requests folder because it will likely end up there if you don't follow me, or follow me and then it will go straight into your inbox. But until next time, keep asking questions, keep taking action, and above all, keep choosing you.